Hey guys, what is up? Big Reviews here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Top Gun Maverick. It is the sequel to Top Gun, which came out sometime in the 80s. I don't know the exact date. This might come as a little bit of a surprise because I never even saw the original Top Gun, but everyone has been talking about this movie. It is getting insane reviews. It's a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes compared to the 58 on Rotten Tomatoes that the original got. It made $1.4 billion. And it's not a Marvel movie, which is insane. And when I say that, I don't want people to think that I'm pissed. Like, I'm genuinely happy that as much as I love Marvel, I'm genuinely happy that regular films are starting to become like well received and just seen in general. And we already talked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood this year. I genuinely don't understand why I said Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I meant Everything Everywhere All at Once. Joey, you're an idiot. And I think that Top Gun's another great example of a film that's non-Marvel killing it this year. And frankly, Marvel's been up and down for Phase 4, and I think this is the year of non-Marvel for once in a while. We had Batman, we had Everything Everywhere All at Once, we had Top Gun Maverick, and yeah, I was blown away. So my mom is a big Top Gun fan. She always talked about it. She always wanted me to see it when they announced this new movie came out. You have to remember, this new movie got announced about 4 years ago. And with most things in Hollywood, COVID and I guess the world, COVID completely delayed it, and it came out like 3 years after it got announced. So my mom wanted me to watch the original Top Gun, and about, say, like 2 weeks ago now, I was like, okay. So me and her sat down and watched it, and I liked it. I mean, yeah, there's some plot holes, blah, blah. Yeah, there's some things that happen to some characters. I'm going to talk a little bit about spoilers of Top Gun 1 just before we get to 2. So if you haven't seen the first original Top Gun, click away, or if you don't care, just watch. But my main gripe with Top Gun 1 was that they killed Goose, and it was like an emotional thing, but then it's just like, oh, he's done. And it's like, I don't know, I kind of wish they did more with that, but the characters were cool. I love Tom Cruise as an actor, especially like an action actor, but he can bring the emotional strings too, and you see a lot of that in this movie with scenes where he's talking to Iceman. You can see how he's tearing up. You can still see throughout this movie the grief and he still blames himself for Goose's death, and you can see that even when he looks at his son Rooster. And it's just great acting by Tom Cruise. But I saw the first one. I had a lot of my friends go see this movie, and a lot of them didn't even see the first one. And you really don't have to. That's the beauty of this movie. They let you know off rip that Goose was his old pal who, died in a tragic plane accident when they were doing drills. And that's all you really need to know for this movie, because not a lot of returning characters come back. Obviously, Maverick's the only main one. His girlfriend from the first movie doesn't even make an appearance. I don't even think she's mentioned. And Iceman comes back for a scene. But everyone else is brand new, and that's really cool. Let's talk about the main reason why this movie just encapsulates us. It's practical. Everything, there's no CGI here. If when they're in the airplanes, they're really in the airplanes. No, obviously Tom Cruise isn't flying 200 feet above the ground at like Mach 6 or whatever they're going. No, but he's in that plane while another pilot's doing that, and you could feel it. And this movie makes it so known, like the effects that flying has on a person, because like even when I was younger, I was like, oh, you're flying the plane, you're just still. No, you gotta go up against 10 G's. When they make sharp turns, you see them jerk their heads or move their bodies, and it's just really realistic, and you feel that tension, like when the G's go up or when they're making a high-pitched nosedive, or if they're turning or something, you feel that in their body, and the movie conveys that in a way where you feel it and you know that this is gonna be a tough thing to come out of. The opening sequence in this movie really told me that, yeah, I'm gonna like this movie a lot. I went with my mom and my friend. She never saw the original, and she said she wanted to see it, and she loved this movie. She was blown away. So that's why I meant, like, you don't really have to see the original. I like seeing the original when I go to see sequels, just because it makes, there's made for little Easter eggs and stuff, and I'm glad I did, because there's a lot of little things in this movie that I was like, oh yeah. Even my mom was like, yeah, look at that. And I was like, oh shit. So I suggest seeing the first one. Even if you've seen Top Gun Maverick already, go watch the first one. The music in this movie is great. You have the iconic intro music. You have the theme song, which is incredible. The cinematography in this movie is great. Even in the first 5-10 minutes when he's trying to hit 10 G's in this plane and you see him going around the world, the shots, you just see like above Earth and you see him flying. It's just incredible cinematography. I was getting Interstellar vibes for a little bit because Hans Zimmer did the score. So you see like there's a Hans Zimmer score, and that's when, and this guy's like, he's the fastest man alive. And it cuts to Hans Zimmer's score, and that's when you see the shot from space. And I got chills. It was really great work from all departments.
Mach 9. He's the fastest man alive.
The emotion, the script is really well made. A lot of the jokes, I'd say all the jokes hit for me, at least gave me a chuckle. You could tell that these characters feel lived in and they feel like actual people. They don't really spend time delving into their backgrounds, but they just treat them like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like they're written like you believe they're real. The way they talk to each other, you can tell they've known each other. The way they talk about airplanes, you can tell they're knowledgeable about what's going on. And I just love it. And I really love this movie for giving us, I feel like it's kind of rare in movies nowadays. They give us a female character, but they don't, they just make it normal, like how it is in real life. Like there's one of the best pilots on Maverick's team in this movie is a female. I forgot her name. But she's badass as fuck. She takes the push-ups to the chin, and she's a great pilot. She stays right behind Maverick the whole time. And they don't do something that even Marvel does, like with Endgame, where they force it. You know, like the "she's got help" meme that went around that people didn't like. If you want another great example of this, watch The Boys season 2 finale. They do a great job at like a woman team up scene, but they do it because it's just a team up scene. Like Marvel does it to where they want you to know that it's just all women, but in reality, it's like, you know, just like how real life is, where we're gonna see this, and it's just like normal. And this girl, they never focus on her in a way that makes it like, yeah, I'm a woman. It's just she's normal. She's with the guy. She's all talking, and I really like that. All the characters feel lived in. Everyone feels great. Miles Teller plays Rooster phenomenally. Miles Teller is such an underrated actor. If you haven't seen Whiplash, please see it. He is great. And yeah, we're gonna be talking about some spoilers. I'm just gonna be going over the film, some scenes I liked, and yeah. So if you haven't seen the movie, if you don't care, come back or keep watching. Either way. So the beginning is an homage to the beginning of the first film, which is basically just establishing shots of them on a freighter, on a aircraft carrier, and the plane's taking off with Highway to the Danger Zone playing. If you play GTA 5, that song's stuck in your head, but it's you set you in the mood, and then it immediately gets to this test where he's trying to hit Mach 10, and they take the plane out without the top guy's permission. Everyone's on board with it, and there's this beautiful shot of him lifting off the tarmac, and the guy gets out of the plane and stands there, and Maverick flies over him, and the whole set just like implodes, but he stands still. And that was all practical. Like I said, everything in this movie's practical. Maybe, of course, some scenes had to be touched in CGI, but this whole movie's practical, and that scene actually wasn't supposed to really destroy the set like that, but they liked it so well they kept it. I thought that was pretty cool. And so we basically see Maverick, and we're just kind of getting up to date of where he's at, where he doesn't want to become like a full-fledged captain or whatever, but he doesn't want to leave. So they have him at this base, just living there, and you basically learn about this thing that's happening in 3 weeks' time. You're going to hear 3 weeks a lot, but it's I don't even know who we're fighting. That's the thing with Top Gun. And I even asked my mom, and she doesn't know. It's like, you always have an enemy, but they never really establish it. I think they allude to Russia, but they never really, it's just like enemy planes. You don't really need an enemy in this case, because it's not really about the enemy. It's about trying to be the best to be able to pull this mission off. You basically find out that there's a illegal like uranium deposit or something, and they're trying to blow it up, and there's a mountain that looks like this. I'd say more like that, right? And they have to come over here, flip over to hit. They call it 2 miracles. The first miracle is hit the cover on the hole, and then they have to immediately pull up and hit 10 Gs, which is a good callback to the first part of the movie where he has to hit 10 Gs. So they all have to, try not to pass out, and then and the second miracle is to hit it again, and then they have to escape the SAMs, I think they're called. So he gets all these recruits, these new guys, and you see Rooster, you see the iconic handlebar mustache that his dad had in the first Top Gun, and you can tell there's something between them. And I'm glad they didn't go the route of Rooster blames Maverick for his dad's death, and that's where I really thought they were going to at first. You quickly find out that Maverick pulled Rooster's papers and basically set Rooster back 4 years to become a pilot, because he promised and you find out even later in the movie after that his mom told him to do this, and he didn't want him to look at his mom different or like be mad at the mom, so he took all the blame and act like it was his decision. Either way, he didn't want him to fly because he's obviously scared about what can happen to him because he lost Goose in such a tragic way. And so that's like the little conflict we have in this movie. You meet the cocky guy, just like in regular Top Gun. Iceman was cocky, this guy's cocky, but the great thing about Top Gun is like they don't stick on it forever. Like, yeah, he's cocky a little bit, but he is a good pilot, so he kind of does back up. The only thing he does wrong is he obviously, which is a major thing, is he'll leave his like teammates away while he thinks he can do it himself. But he is a good pilot at the end of the day. And what I like about the Top Gun franchise is that these guys always redeem themselves, which I'll get to in a little bit. So it's basically a whole movie about training, and it's cool to see Maverick in this position of leadership because he is reckless, but he gets it done. And I like that all these officers know him and they know it, and he even backs it up where he's like, there's a scene where he brings them to about, I think it's like 800 feet above the ground, and they say something about you can't go below 3,000 or something like that. And you think you think he's gonna get fired, and he's like, well, we're gonna be 200 feet above the ground, so I'm treating them like we're actually there. And they kind of agree to it. And Jon Hamm is in this movie, and he's great. He plays like the commander. I don't know all the terms, I'm sorry. But what's cool about him is, and I saw a comment on a YouTube video, if I can find out, I'll do a screenshot, but it was a while ago, is at the end of the day, you can tell that he's just a pilot. Like, he loves flying. Like, yeah, he's a commander, but there's a beautiful scene. Probably my favorite sequence in the movie is, so this whole time, they have to do this whole mission. They have to get through the trenches, up the mountain, bomb it, and up the 10G thing in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And basically they actually do end up firing him. Jon Hamm does say, you know what, you're done, it's too reckless. And so they start to fire him, and then he's trying to take over the thing, and he's like, we have to do it in 2:30 now instead of 3. And everyone's like, what the hell, we barely even know what we're doing. And Maverick does the great leadership thing where it's, I went and asked people to do what I wouldn't do. And he basically... And you have to take some liberty here. He steals an airplane. I think he did it in the first movie too. All of a sudden he's in an airplane. I'm like, how do you just take off with that? But he says set the timer to 2:15, so 15 seconds shorter than the time that they need to do it. And it's just this beautiful scene of him going through the trenches. And it's probably my favorite shot in the movie, which I'll put here. Yeah, that one. I don't know why that just hit me. Just the way he jerks the yoke, goes upside down, and the wind, and you hear the plane just creak, and you can tell he's really pushing it, and he just starts going, and he just kills this fucking course. And back to my Jon Hamm's character point is that it's so great because at the end of the day, you can tell he loves flying, and you can tell instead of him being like, shut it down, you threaten to shoot him out of the sky, blah, 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 whatever, he's just watching with content. And you can see he's not really like smiling, but you can tell like he's rooting for Maverick. He wants Maverick to get it done. Now you could argue that he's doing that because he wants the mission to be done, but I genuinely think he just thinks it's cool as shit that this is happening, and he respects Maverick because he is a great pilot after all, even though he's reckless. And basically Maverick gets it done. He gets to be commander again, and you see one of the commanders in the back just go like this. I love that. And we're going to talk about, before we get to the finale, we're going to talk about the subplot, which is this new girl. I forgot her name, but she basically runs the bar at Top Gun, and they have really good chemistry. This was obviously supposed to be, I feel like this character was obviously supposed to be his girl from the first movie. I don't know why they didn't call her back, but she's not in it, so they had to pick up this character. It's played by Jennifer Connelly. Fun fact, she's married to Vision from WandaVision, so yeah. But they have really great chemistry in this movie, and there's a really good scene, and this goes back to what I was saying, was you feel like these characters, like you just feel it, and you know, like you don't need to know what happened because you just know stuff happened, if that makes sense. Like, she kicks him out, it's all playfield, and he's just standing out there, and he sees Rooster playing the song that his dad played with him and Maverick back in Top Gun 1, and you just see him kind of losing it, and you see Jennifer Connelly's character just look through the window and just know. And obviously they mentioned that they had a love for a couple years, but like that look just knows all you need to know, that she does genuinely love him, all jokes aside. And there's a great scene where they go back to the house and she leaves the door open and he comes in, and then her kid comes home and she's like, I have to escape, I haven't brought a man home. And he basically, everything goes well, and he jumps out and he looks up and she's right there in front of the window. And it could be played off as a mom, but she just says, don't break her heart again. And I really like that. And it's just a believable love story, and their chemistry was really off the charts. Great acting by both. So then we get to the finale where Maverick's basically just taking them through a course, and basically if he locks on to someone, the whole team loses, because you don't want to lose your fire team, because that's the other thing. These higher-ups don't care if people die. They just want to get the mission done. Maverick's like, no, everyone's coming home. Think about their families, because he went through that with Goose. He saw Goose's wife. He saw Rooster there, and he doesn't want to lose anyone. And he ends up picking Rooster for this, and Oh man, it's just great. So they basically go and do this mission, and it's just really well laid out, really great action sequences. And they basically do it, they blow it up, but then they're getting locked on, and Maverick does this insane maneuver where he goes over Rooster's thing, uses his flares to save Rooster, and then he gets shot down, and then Rooster saves him, and then Rooster gets shot down, and now they're in the woods, and it's just a funny dynamic. They have to steal an old F-18, and they basically have to fight that. And this fight scene in the final F-18 is really very well done, because it's just, I like that they did this, because it's just like him and Goose, because this is the planes they fought in the first Top Gun, and they're basically fighting these new high-tech jets, and this one scene where they lock onto this jet, and this jet does some type of fucking maneuver where I don't even know what it's called. He basically drifts an airplane midair around the missile, and this is the only F-bomb where Rooster's like, what the fuck was that? And it was just the perfect place to put the F word. But then they're about to die, and the cocky guy comes in and saves them, and it's just like the ending of the first movie where everyone's cheering, and wow. I mean, everyone was telling me to go see this movie, and I just kept putting off the first one for some reason, and this is the rare exception where the sequel blows the original out of the water, let alone better. There's only a few I can think of. Obviously, Terminator 2 and Empire Strikes Back, and those aren't even like, well, you blow the original out of the water. That's more like, you know, they're just better than the original. And I'm so glad I saw this in theaters. If you have a chance to, since it's winding down in theaters a little bit, go see it. I had to see it at 9:05 p.m. at not even my main theater, because only a select theaters are showing it still, and it's only like once or twice a day. But if you can get there, please watch it in theaters, because it's going to be worth it than watching it at home. Just feeling the jets and everything. And this is one of those theater experiences that I love, and I hope they keep doing more practical shit. And I think they will, because it's not even practical. It's just they're actually in the fucking jet, you know? And I just think with the reception of this movie, obviously it's made $1.4 billion. It's up there with one of the biggest grossing films of all time, which came out of nowhere. No one expected this movie to make this much, but it did, and I hope this shows that they make more. And I would be down for more movies in this universe. You know, I know Miles Teller did pitch a Rooster film with Tom Hanks returning. Not Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise returning. And I think that'd be pretty cool, obviously, if they do it right. But I think these people know what they're doing, and they love these characters, and they just have a passion. And Tom Cruise put this movie off for years until he found the script that he liked, and he also refused to do it unless Val Kilmer was in it. And I really love that they have this bromance. I didn't even talk about Val Kilmer that much. If you don't know, he was Iceman in the original movie. They have like a little rivalry, but at the end of the day, they, you know, come together, save each other's ass, and they all cheer and they win. He has throat cancer in real life. He's actually cancer free right now, thankfully, but it's really hard to talk. So they actually wrote that into the character, that he does have throat cancer. So he's talking to Maverick through a computer, and he's basically Maverick's lifeline for a lot of this film. And this is how they explain how he gets away with so much shit, because because Iceman's high up. If you have to remember, he won Top Gun. Like he's even better than Maverick in that sense, like on paper. And so he's basically pulling the strings and like keeping Maverick there. And they have this emotional scene where they're talking through the text, and Maverick's like, I don't know if I can do this, which is crazy because you never really see Maverick like this. You obviously saw it after Goose, but that's basically it. And you basically see, and he says, you know, I don't know if I can do this, and he's like, and he's talking about Goose a little bit, and Iceman's like, you need to let go, and he types that, and Maverick's like, I don't know, and he stands up and he talks with his own voice, and it's supposed to be very painful, obviously with throat cancer, but he says, you know, we need Maverick, that's why I fought for you. And they hug, and my mom was crying. I almost teared up a little bit. It was just really good connection. You can tell these guys really care for each other in real life too. And he says, now tell me who's the best pilot. And he's like, don't worry, we ruined a good moment. And he actually ends up dying about like 20 minutes later, which I didn't really expect them to kill him off, but that must be weird too, seeing a character that you play in a film get the same disease as you because you have in real life, and then they just kill him. But it was really well done, and you could tell it really affected Maverick. And just this whole movie is just so well crafted. This is a perfect example of cinematography, music, sound design, set design, you know, even the CGI. Because there's probably some CGI in this movie, but like they always say the best CGI is the CGI you don't notice, right? Perfect example of this is 1917. If you go watch a VFX breakdown by, I think Corridor Digital did it, they talk about how like even like some simple lighting with CGI is like you wouldn't notice. But yeah, this movie, guys, I'm gonna give it like a 9 out of 10. Even if I say 10, I hate giving 10 out of 10s because I feel like I would do that a lot. But I mean, if you tell me it's a 10, I would not blame you. I'd give it like a 9.5 out of 10. This movie is insane, a really great watch, something just fresh. You know, that's why I love 2022 so far, because Marvel's been kind of mid this year. I mean, you know, Doctor Strange was kind of let down. Thor was not that good. And now we have movies like The Batman that came out, which was incredible. I heard Black Adam's getting great reviews. I'll see that in a couple days. And then we have Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is obviously one of my favorite movies of all time. And now this movie, which might be in like my top 20 even. And this is just amazing. It's so different, and it just feels so much better when you know it's real. Like, if this was a movie where they were in a green screen, it would still be good, but you wouldn't get that feel. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the movie or the video, please comment below and let me know what you thought of both. And I hope I posted a Star Wars timeline video. It's a little lengthy, but it's more informal, where I crack jokes, I'm cussing a little bit, and I just break down the movies and TV shows, but we have a good time. I go on a rant a little bit. If you're into that stuff, or if you just want to support, go ahead. Link will be in the description. And some more reviews will be coming out soon. Black Adam's coming out soon. Obviously, Wakanda Forever is coming out. Great time to be a movie fan. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, love you guys. Bye-bye.